I came across a new 3D printing file that I wanted to try out, and so I printed it up. It had some issues, so I was going to talk a little bit about that and then tell you what I'm doing. So, for those of you who are new to 3D printing or somebody's getting into 3D printing, sometimes a file can just basically be corrupt and a layer shift can occur. This can also do with your settings, it can do with your slicer, a lot of different weird things. But this one is a cyberpunk kit, again, made for like an airsoft or a different gel blaster, not the ones I have certainly. And what happened when it was printing is it did a layer shift. So this piece like actually printed over here. So I had to cut it, glue it, do some plastic welding, obviously a lot of sanding, still a lot of work left there to make it actually go back where it belongs. So things like that can happen all the time. It's never kind of a just take it off the printer and put it on, unfortunately. But that's just part of the way that things go. But this was a cool kit. I thought it was worth saving instead. And again, it takes like 12 hours to print something like that. So anytime I can, I try to save it. It's not even really about the cost of the filament as much as it is the time, because the cost of the filament's pretty minimal. But you can see how this will work here, right? It's going to be permanently mounted here. I have it on like a G17. So this is like a Chermory G17 or an Aaron Club G17. Really, any of the G17s would work. Had to really sand out this inner area so that it would fit on here, and this will just fit on here flush. Of course, the blowback will be disabled, but these type of G17s work great for modifying just because they have the flat top. They're much boxier, and most of the airsoft kits are kind of based on similar profile or similar footprint blasters. So that's what we got going on here. Probably do a different color on the bottom half and the top, or maybe we'll just do one. We'll see. I just don't know. Not sure yet exactly what I'm going to do. Going to add some side rails here as well. So I got those already ready to go. And then I'm going to add like a threaded tip. So this wasn't made to have a threaded tip, but I'll have to do some work on that as well internally, but add a threaded tip to it. So I think it'll end up looking really cool. Probably going to have to slightly modify the bracket back here. The bracket should fit fine, but the piece that comes down is going to probably have to be cut flush with that. So it's my Cyberpunk G17. Still got a lot of ways to go, a lot of manual fabrication, lots of sanding, and then of course paint after that. So I'll just probably do this all in one video. And so the next time I'll show you an update. It'll probably be after the paint and after I've gotten the hopper bracket mounted and everything. So here's my completed cyberpunk version of a Chermory Glock 17, obviously heavily modified, had to be, to make this work. This kit, again, intended for an airsoft or a much different dimensioned gel ball blaster. I showed you in the video earlier how I was planning to put this together, and I was hoping I was going to be able to just do a flat rail straight across and have the hopper connected right to that flat rail. But for some reason, even though you wouldn't think it would matter, it wouldn't feed right, even though it was perfectly lined up and everything. So I had to kind of go back to the drawing board, put this factory piece back on here that holds the hopper on, and now it's feeding just fine. So it still has a similar look to what I was going for. This was just going to be one long continuous rail with the hopper connected to it, and you wouldn't have needed this bracket here, which is okay to add back in. I don't mind it. I was glad I was able to save it because it's a little frustrating when you put all that in and you've tested it, and in theory it should work. So you can see what we've done here. Obviously the handle, kind of cool, the cyberpunk style handle right here, right? The barrel extension. Went ahead, kind of went with, something that I thought looked futuristic and good with this, and your bright orange on the front, of course, trying to always make it safe, even though it doesn't look like a real gun, but you never know. So that's what we got going here. So I also did, again, I think it's cool to kind of put those off to the side. I know that I've had several people tell me that they like to be able to have a scope to see around the hopper. Now, these are not super accurate at long range, so it's still mostly for cosmetics, but it's cool to be able to, have that option there. Of course, then put a little riser here. with a laser in the front, just again to kind of dress it up a little bit and to hide like a seam for where the rails come together. So anytime I can do something like that to hide seams too, I think that looks a little nicer. So this one took a lot of finish work, a lot of sanding, because if you remember, I think I mentioned in the other video, when I printed these pieces, sometimes the files are corrupt and there was a layer shift, which luckily doesn't happen to me often, but that can be a problem with 3D printers, where it printed like 3/4 of it and then it shifted and printed the last quarter like off to the side on top of it, just enough where it doesn't line up. It looks goofy, so I had to cut it, re-glue it, do a lot of filling, tons of sanding, painting, sanding, lots and lots of sanding to make it come out nice. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I wasn't sure if it was going to be salvageable, but I think it's definitely looks good, and I think it's good enough to give away. So I will probably give this away in the future as well. I try not to, put any prizes in contests if I don't think that they're of good quality. Now, of course, I'm not going to tell you that any of my customs are perfect, but I do kind of have a standard as to how good they have to look in order to give them away in prizes. So look for this one in the future. It is the Chermory G17 custom cyberpunk style gel ball blaster. I'll attach a little demo at the end of this video too, where we actually shoot it. Hopefully we're still getting close to 150 FPS. This is a larger, diameter barrel that extends out. I don't think we're going to have any issues with barrel drag. I think I addressed that when I went through and changed this. But we will see, as I have not tested the FPS yet, just tested to see that it shoots good. So comments, questions, post them below. And of course, just continue watching this to see the demo. All right, guys, here's my cyber gun type G17 modified Chermory gel ball blaster. You can see everything going on here. Showed it to you before. We're going to shoot it. We're going to test the FPS on it. So let's see how it goes. So I'm shooting inside here, so it's actually kind of hard to see the gel balls, but it's raining out. So let's see where we're at for FPS. So we're kind of all over the place. As high as 150, but then as low, well, there were a couple weird ones where they exploded, so I'm not going to count those. But I think you can definitely say 140 on average FPS for the G17 Cybergun modified gel ball blaster from me, Chris, at Gel Ball Blaster Master YouTube channel. So comments, questions, post them below. What do you guys think? I think I'll probably give it away. Eventually, because it's definitely a nice looking blaster. I think it's cool, and hopefully you guys appreciate this and like it, and let me know. Comments, questions, likes, subscribes, and please share my channel with your friends. Thanks a lot.